Making Geeks is a podcast for people who are striving to find the balance between raising great kids and holding on to their creative passions that keep them sane.
I think that might have been the best reading of it so far.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Yup.
I want to say things that are inappropriate.
Go right ahead.
I guess that.
Yep.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Making Geeks podcast. We're the podcast for makers, dads, and geeks, and you're listening to episode 102. And today we have a very special show for you all, and let me introduce you to my co-host first, starting with Mr. Josh Price,
Hey, everybody.
and next Mr. Mark O'Keefe,
What's going on?
the ever great Mr. Wes Swain,
Good morning.
and we have a special guest with us today, Mr. Andrew Setters from his self-titled YouTube channel.
Yay.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you.
Good. Yeah.
Welcome. Andrew's been a long-time figure in the maker community, and so it's a really good chance to finally talk to you.
Yeah, it's good to catch up. It's been a while since I've seen you guys.
I know.
The last time I saw you was Boston.
Yeah, Boston. I haven't made it to Maker Faire ever. Certainly not this year, but eventually, and I'll get a chance to catch up with all the guys out there.
Some Atlantas, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to Atlanta. I don't know, a year ago or so.
The one after Boston, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right after Boston.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
That was when Berkey started jumping on our bed, wasn't it?
Yep. That was the occasion. Yep. And Bobby Duke was somewhere.
So, a little insider story from Mr. Andrew Setters about when we were in Boston. We all stayed. There was 9 people that stayed in this tiny Airbnb that we rented,
Yes.
and we looked at this tiny Airbnb. And we're like, man, we're gonna have to like triple up these rooms with these big, burly, bearded dudes everywhere. I remember I had to share, like, Mark and I shared a bed, and there was, I don't even remember.
And Paul Granger was on the floor.
Yep. Tony Rouleau was there.
Rouleau was there, and
Yeah.
Mark Schaefer-Meyer.
And Corey Irwin was like on a blow-up mattress in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
We probably told this story.
Freezing
Yeah,
in.
he did.
He was freezing. He didn't have enough blankets. Yep. All the beds were packed, or so we thought.
We're
Except.
marginally miserable in this room, or in this whole thing.
Yeah.
So we get up in the morning and we all just like step over each other to get out. And Andrew comes walking out of this room that like no one apparently knew existed. He had an entire room to himself.
I thought you guys just wanted to be in bed together. I was just getting to know you guys. I thought, I'm not going to say anything.
He's like,
Sure
man,
thing.
this is nice of them. I'm gonna shut the door while I can. See you guys.
Exactly.
You were the first one to go into bed, I think, too.
I don't know if I was or not. I don't think I was the last one to get there.
It makes the story better. It makes us feel better.
Oh, yeah.
He just thought it was a green room.
Yeah, that's right.
That apartment only had like 4 doors, so I don't see how that place was such a mystery.
One of them was for the water closet.
Yeah, that was a nice place.
Photographer. That photographer needs an award.
Oh man.
Yeah, there should be like a whole video series on how to make Airbnbs and hotel rooms look like they're 10 times bigger than they are.
Sweet. So what you been up to, man?
Not much. Been working, been staying busy, been trying to get out in the shop when I can, and making some stuff here and there. Most recently, last video I posted was of this, my Han Solo DL-44 blaster that I made. And yeah, but I've been doing lots of stuff. Haven't necessarily been filming it all, but trying to post stuff when I can.
For those of our audience that are not familiar with your channel, what would you say you are focused on, or that you kind of hone in on as far as interests? Or
I do some stuff that's kind of pop culture and geeky, but I also do like some creative reuse. I don't know, upcycling kind of stuff. I don't know. I play around and screw around a lot with stuff that interests me, and I don't know if it has any coherent theme.
It's a video
You always
sketchbook,
gotta
yeah.
keep people guessing.
Yeah. I mean, it's what interests me. I figure if it's interesting to me, then maybe it's interesting to somebody else. And I don't know. There's maybe like 3,000 YouTube subscribers that haven't abandoned it yet. So I must be doing something right.
And if we have anybody listening that has not checked out your channel, I really have to recommend you or probably the more popular one of the Destroying and Modifying an Elmo.
Yes,
That's my favorite.
That was one that, again, like when I was doing like some creative stuff or making, I don't even know what I'd made before that and put up on there, and that was one that I was just like, you know what, I just want to have fun. I found that thing at a thrift store and decided to rip it apart and do what I could with it.
I think that's one of the more interesting, like your Instagram stories where you're just going around to these thrift stores and you find the coolest and weirdest and randomest stuff that you can find.
Yeah, I am a kind of a thrift junkie. I can't like. There's only a couple stores that I go to. It's not like Cincinnati's like this hotbed of thrift stores and flea markets, but if you go often enough, you find the good weird stuff. Like I have in the background, maybe you guys can see it. There's like a mannequin in the background that I got off of Craigslist, and yeah, somebody said to me the other day, I was on Facebook or Instagram, like, I feel like the guys from American Pickers are going to show up and knock on your door one day. And it's not.
I think going and buying a mannequin from Craigslist is something by itself that should be filmed.
Yeah,
That would be a very strange interaction.
Yeah, do you...
Well, he had like a whole storage unit full of mannequins.
Oh. I was gonna say, did you go to the police station to like do the exchange? Like they have that as like a thing. A lot of police stations where you can do like the safe exchange with Craigslisters. I can imagine you like both you pulling up in front of the police station, and like it's like the mannequin out of the back of the trunk, stuffs it in yours like upside down.
It rolled in the carpet.
That's right.
No, it was worse than that. I went to the guy's like, oh yeah, he gave me this address and it's a storage, like one of those storage facilities. He's like, oh yeah, it's this garage, and I like pull up and he's like, how many do you want? And rolls up the garage door and there's like 20 mannequins in there. I'm
Whoa.
like, I only want one. Not
You
some
should
kind
have asked him if she has a
weirdo.
name.
One mannequin's enough.
So you can't take Stephanie. You go way back. So speaking of interesting stuff, besides being a cool maker and your super fun, thrift store habits, what do you do for your day job? What is your main squeeze?
For my day job, I'm a reporter. I work for a television station here in Cincinnati.
So if you were in the Cincinnati or Ohio-ish area,
Yes.
I could see you on the telly?
Yes, I am on the TV every morning. Well, not every morning, but Monday through Friday. Way too early in the morning, like ridiculously early, but it's fun.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been in radio and TV for 20 years. I've been at this TV station for 10, though.
Nice.
How'd you get started in it?
I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought that I would become a rock DJ because I was like 20 years old, and I thought, well, those guys just listen to loud music and make jokes, and that's what I'm doing already. I might as well get paid for it. And then I got it.
Justification.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And then I got into school and realized, like, I got an internship where I was working around like a newsroom, and realized that I really liked the challenge of writing and storytelling.
Neat.
Yeah.
Did internet radio back when internet radio was really, really new when I was in college. And I thought it was the coolest thing. But there was no like, oh, caller number 2. It was like you get little numbers and you could tell how many people were listening in on the website. And so it was like 3 and like 6, 2 and 1, and it would just go back and forth like that. So you're pretty much playing whatever you want to play and hope that little number rises, and it was super fun.
It was funny. I started out at a really small station here in Cincinnati, and it was historically a black-owned station. I was like 20 years old. I had grown my hair out into a ponytail at this time, and yes, very classy. And I would go into this like kind of shady neighborhood when I got done with school and go in there in the afternoon, and it was like, you're going to be our news intern. I'm like, okay. And then like after about a week, they're like, yeah, well, do you want the job? Do you want to just work here? I'm like, okay. And I really felt like I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, it was fun. It's a challenge to like tell a story in a limited amount of time and get to the point of it. And you know, you've got, I don't know, you got 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, and like a radio newscast to get it all out there. And it was a great experience.
Nice.
So during the news, like when you're on camera, how much of that have you written, or how much of that is written by other people that you're reading through the teleprompter?
When I'm out in the field, it's all me. It's all stuff that I've written. And when I like write stories that air, like that are more produced, like for later in the day, that's all me that I've written. If like the anchors who are sitting in there at the anchor desk, because they're reading an hour-long newscast or something, they're producers that work on writing that, because there's just no way that you could do all that. Like they get in hours before we do and start working on that stuff. But when I go out in the field, like a lot of times, you know, sometimes it's just completely off the cuff because I'm at breaking news and I just found out stuff and I've got to communicate it to people. And other times it's a little more like pre-written, but it's written by me.
So is there the thrill of like getting like the scoop on a story?
Yeah, I mean, there's the thrill of, I mean, it's always an adrenaline rush when you're kind of like, I'm, you know, standing in front of a camera talking to people. It's also interesting to be around stuff that most people don't get a chance to see. I mean, just the other day they were like, there's a car crash. So they sent us over to this car crash, and there's this car off the side of the road on its top. The guy wasn't badly hurt, but we're standing there 10 feet from it and with the camera on when, you know, the tow truck driver shows up and like scratches his head and goes like, how in the heck am I going to flip this thing over? And then like, okay. And he's like, flips the thing over right in front of us. I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know, I guess when the car's already totaled, you just do whatever you want. Flip it back over.
Can't hurt it anymore.
Yeah, it's not a problem. That'll just buff right out.
Exactly.
So we were talking about your Instagram. Something came to mind that there's like the younger female news anchors that have like the Instagram accounts that are really popular because they're going out and they're going seeing fancy people and they're cute and bubbly. And I just imagine like them trying to put that same spin. And they're like, and here's Andrew's Instagram account, and you're like holding a mannequin with some stranger in like a parking lot.
Yeah, they don't. We don't really publicize our Instagram too much. Like Twitter, we do a lot on TV, but like the Instagram is kind of, I don't know. It's interesting because the people who find me, like, I'll run into people and they're like, hey, I follow you on Facebook or whatever, and I know they're not following me because I'm 24 years old and beautiful. It just to see if I put up any like bikini pictures
Right.
or anything. Like when I was on vacation, like I'm sure that's what a lot of guys do when they go online and
Mm-hmm.
track down their favorite female news people. So I don't know. It's so when people find my stuff and they're like, you're actually funny. You've got a sense of humor. I'm like, yeah,
Thanks.
it's just my job. That's serious, not me.
You put googly eyes on the next flipped over car so people get that from you on camera.
Yes, comedy routine. I would like to do like the Daily Show. That would be fun. Like to do the fake news. Or John Oliver.
Is that line being blurred nowadays?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
there's not. They do their thing, and news people do their thing, and then the people who are on cable news do something that's completely made up. But no, I find like what John Oliver does fascinating because he gets a chance to dig into stuff, and it's funny enough to keep your interest, but I think he has a lot of really good journalists working on his staff too to really dig into issues that most people are never going to look at, but he can make you laugh and you can consider it.
And get sued by coal magnates.
Yeah, exactly. And laugh about it and not care.
Yeah. I've got the backing of HBO.
Exactly. Like
I
it's-
thought that was really cool that they actually had his back on that, and he's just like, meh, this is happening.
Well, when you think about like what some of their other shows are, well, they're like, oh, let's see, we could produce another episode of Westworld, or we could defend John from this lawsuit, which is going to be something minor. Westworld, like being millions of dollars an episode, probably. Which is a great show, by the way. I haven't watched the second season. Are you guys watching that, or have you watched Westworld at all?
I haven't started it yet.
I have it in the chamber. I have not started it yet.
Oh, it's kind of fascinating. The first season was, anyway. I haven't watched the second yet. It's not as bad as the old Yul Brynner, like 1970s movie that it was based on.
I do want to watch that though.
I did watch it after I watched the first season of Westworld, just to like compare it, and I was like, "Oh God, this is awful." So, what are you guys up to? Like, what have you been working on?
I like how
I like
Andrew
that.
gets the next segment going because
Man, it's so easy for him. Gotta keep the story going.
It's called a segue, gentlemen.
Bam. With gravitas.
It's like
Should hire him as a coach. Making Geeks new producer. I'm
Oh.
currently fighting carburetors.
Are you winning?
It's debatable. I know. I had extra lawnmowers around, so I was like, all right, you know what? Let me get rid of these things. Let me make this one work. Let me make mine work better. And I got mine where the throttle, whether it's in fast or slow, is just fast, which didn't do that before. And then the other one was doing that, and then I cleaned the carburetor, and now it only runs in fast. If I bring it to slow, it stalls out. So
it's the Ricky Bobby of lawnmowers.
yeah.
I want to go fast.
It's good though. You get done quicker.
you should just rent a goat.
Don't give my wife any ideas. I've been fighting chickens for years.
Ugh.
Are you winning?
That yeah.
Not actually fighting chickens. I mean, like fighting the idea of having chickens.
Yes.
Or
Okay, all right.
like
Although-
Peter Griffin fighting chickens, like that?
Mhm.
Although
That's awesome.
when I was looking for a house, I actually did end up fighting a chicken because he came and tried to fight me, and I couldn't stop laughing. But so I have both in my resume.
I moved into a new place in September, and there was a chicken coop in the backyard when I bought it. And so when I was looking at it when it was for sale, there's like chickens running around in the backyard. And this is in this, like, kind of in the city and kind of a small lot. And I asked the realtor, I said, they're taking the chickens with them, right? Yes, the chickens are going. Good. And I found somebody to take the chicken coop, and now I don't have to deal with that.
But not the mannequins.
Oh, no. Although I should
You
put
can
that in the
stay.
backyard. Freak out the neighbors.
Some free roaming mannequins.
Yeah.
Free range.
Put it on top of a Roomba.
Nah,
Like the Macaulay Culkin kind of thing, like Home Alone, like how I'm dancing.
You should just leave the mannequin like on the roof at night every now and then. Freak people out.
Be like the alien in
Put
Signs.
put some stepper motors in the joints and just have it like freak out
Oh
and
my
have weird
gosh.
seizures in the front room.
It has no head, though.
even
Oh.
better.
Yeah, anyway.
What have you been working on? I don't know. It's been a long time since we've chatted.
It's been about a week and a half.
I don't know. Working on Bob's stuff. Fixing my pool. My pool's all up. It's summertime kind of now. Right? It's summerish enough. Taught my son how to swim. He was
Awesome.
both of them. They were super scared. The little one gets in the water now with his floaty things, and my older son didn't like putting his face in the water. And by the end of the day, I had this like dumbbell, and he's like, "Dad, I want to go underneath the water, holding onto the dumbbell, and see how long I can hold my breath." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, just make sure I'm around when you do that." And it was a night and day transformation. So every day I come home, everybody's in the pool.
Awesome.
Super awesome. But yeah, I don't know, just stuff that's stuff that I like to make stuff is going, and it's getting busier, and it's weird because like we're ahead, but
Mhm.
as we think we're gaining traction, more and more stuff pops up. So we may be like 3 weeks ahead, but it still feels like we're behind. So it's busy. Sean, you all done with school now?
Yes, today was my last day as an English teacher,
Oh.
which is a little bit weird.
Well, good that it's the last day of school.
Yeah. So unless budgets get cut and they cut all the art programs, I have to go back teaching then. But otherwise, it looks like my new job is a computer science and animation teacher.
Nice.
So
Oh, awesome.
after 12 years of grading essays and all that, so no more of that.
It's
You don't have to
fantastic,
give out
dude.
fake bees anymore.
Happy for you.
Fake B's are real D's.
Wait, we're talking about papers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't get weird.
It's Los Angeles.
So computer animation, what kind of programs are you going to be teaching?
I want to use Maya, but I might end up having to use Blender, depending on the systems that I have access to and what they'll run.
Well, at least somebody will know how to use Blender.
Yeah. All the concepts are the same, so they should be fairly transferable. Other than that, hopefully I'll start working on some new projects this next week now that I'm out of school. But, yeah, just that. How about you, Wes?
Let's see. I've been dabbling with my laser cutter. I've been, as you guys know, I think I've been showing you some stamps that I've made for some other people's shops, like different logos for different shops on Instagram. Previously, I had used my CNC machine and like a V-bit to do that, but to get like super fine detail, it was not really able to get that detail out of the material I was cutting. It was a little bit too flimsy, and the bit is just kind of too coarse for that. So I've gotten a laserable rubber from Amazon that you can use in this machine, and I finally tweaked all the settings and stuff to get a nice, like, real deep cut, and it works awesome. Like, it's a night and day difference. I'm able to get like super fine detail, like a millimeter thin line on the stamp, which is pretty good. And so I've transitioned to that. Hmm?
Glowforge's like deepest engrave is a millimeter.
Deepest engrave? Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not the
Interesting.
cut, just their wide
Oh, I see what you're saying. The
engrave is a
the
millimeter.
thickness of the beam.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Good job.
Yeah, so you got that. It produces a lot of smoke, which I have the ventilation thing working, but I need to redesign how it's set up, because I had it in place for the CNC machine, which didn't require like a lot of evacuation for the smell of the. I had like a diode laser attached to the CNC, so it didn't really produce a whole lot of smoke compared to when you're lasering rubber, which smells amazing. It's not quite sufficient enough, so I need to readjust that, but it works well. And I've been doing some water bottles for the swim team that my daughter is in, and so they came out pretty nice.
Oh, wow.
I'm holding up to
Nice.
the camera for those listening at home. Little characters, and got some text, and I've figured out how to. I built like a rotary tumbler thing for the bottom of the laser engraver, so you can just put the thing in there and it rotates it instead of moving the gantry. It rotates the bottle instead. Works pretty well, and I've got some orders for those coming in now. I made 2 of those for end of year presents for my son's teachers at preschool, and they love them. And of course, as I had hoped, you give a couple free away as gifts, and then they're in a tight knit like teacher community. So I've already got the director of the preschool like message me like, hey, how about Father's Day's coming up, so we got a couple orders from her, and so it's helping to supply funds back into the shop, which is nice. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Does that laser have its own like built-in fan as an exhaust, or do you have a separate system?
it comes with a fan. It's super underpowered.
Is it like a box fan?
That would be a improvement. This one is so low powered. I don't know if it could blow a piece of paper off the desk. Honestly, it's pretty
Oh
bad.
wow.
But I have it hooked up to it. I have like a bilge fan for like a marine, like boat sort of thing. I got it on Amazon. It was like $20, and I have that going out the doggy door. I have a doggy door in my workshop, and I have a hose connected from that to this other fan, which is going into there. And I think I need to swap them because currently it's the strongest one's at the end, and it's drawing through the entire length of the tube, versus being at the device and pushing everything out. I think I'll get more of a initial pull away, like the suction will be stronger at the source than, I don't know. Well, it takes some experiment. Maybe I just need 2 or 3 or just.
What size diameter hose are you using? Is this like a dryer hose?
Yeah.
Yeah, we found if you got a bigger hose, it worked a lot better.
A bigger hose.
Line.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you're moving a bigger volume of air at a time.
That makes sense.
Well, and if you've got a slow fan at one end, it's only going to go as fast as the slowest fan, isn't it? I mean,
maybe
it's trying to pull.
Yeah.
It's trying to push that air through it or pull it through there, but it's not going to be able to push it out any faster than the slow fan's moving.
I like the way you think. So basically, I need to get 2 of them, 1 on each end of the higher end ones.
Well, you have a
So
You
shop
just
vac,
can't-
right?
You just get one
I do.
giant one.
I mean, I
Take
can,
your shop vac and put the hose not in the vacuum side, but in the blower side,
right,
and put that
to cause a
uh,
suction.
kind of
Yeah.
jam that in toward the outlet.
Right.
And that negative pressure will create a nice suction. The Venturi effect, I think that's called.
It's already loud enough if I have to run my air compressor. I might as well make it louder.
But yeah,
You
if
just
you,
get a helicopter
Yeah.
and just
Right.
turn that on.
Yes.
if you cut acrylics,
Yeah.
man, acrylics are terrible. They stink so bad, even with proper ventilation. Like it leaks out, and it's just miserable.
Well, it's the same smell as when you're doing it on like a chop saw, right?
Probably worse.
No, because we've cut it on the table saw, and you get an aroma. But like the laser, because I etched a bunch of stuff into this piece of acrylic. Actually, no, I cut my logo, the gear in my logo. I cut it out, just a simple outline, and it smelled like death.
Ooh.
And it lingered, and I got a headache, and I'm like, this is miserable. And then Bob came downstairs. She's like, oh my god, what are you cutting? Because the acrylic that came with the thing. He's like, ugh. So
I'm
that
making a
was-
sandwich. What are you talking about?
Yeah. That was the huge jumping point. Like, we need proper exhaust in the shop just to get rid of that nastiness. And we haven't cut it since because it reeks.
Hmm.
Probably got fewer brain cells now.
We'll have to have a smell off. I'll do the laser rubber, and you do that. See which one stinks worse. Everyone's a
Sounds
winner.
like a great idea.
Yeah.
That's whenever somebody smells something awful, they're like,
Smell
do you
this."
think this is bad smell? This is
Yeah.
This is horrible.
You think it smells awful. Why would I want to smell it?
Because I want you to feel my pain.
No.
I had that similar situation with my son yesterday morning. He was so mad because his cereal tasted weird. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this cereal. He was eating Cheerios. And I was like, how's the milk? He's like, what? And I smelled this thing of milk. I'm like, ugh, that is terrible. And then I gave him the new thing of milk. He's like, oh, it tastes fine now. And I'm like, you need to... He's like, how do I know it smells bad? I'm like, I don't know how to explain this.
Life lessons.
You just smell it. I don't know what milk is supposed to smell like.
If you
But
revolt,
go-
then throw it away.
You smell it, and if your nose goes, "Bleh," it's bad.
Your nose starts to dry heave.
We didn't plan this out very well. Usually we talk about a couple of things we want to talk about for the week, but we kind of missed that memo this week.
Well, let's cut to the core a little quicker. Is there anything that you're geeking out about lately, Andrew, that we can kind of expound upon?
Did you guys see Solo?
I did.
Not yet.
No, no,
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Curses.
I got a chance to go on the Millennium Falcon from Solo.
What?
I saw that, yeah.
So they, as part of like the publicity thing for the Solo movie, they put together these 3 cargo containers, and inside they're like all tied together, and inside of them they were laid
Tied.
out like,
Sorry.
yeah, tied. They were laid out like the inside of the Millennium Falcon. So it had like the like the hollow chest table and some of the, you know, like one of the entryways that you would go in, and then it also had the cockpit. And it was in town here in the Cincinnati area, and I got a chance to go on it, and I had just finished my Han Solo blaster. And so I took my I was on it for work, but I took my Han Solo blaster with me to work and geeked out on board the Millennium Falcon for the Solo movie.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Did anybody say anything about your blaster? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
it
you
was-
gotta leave that here, sir. This belongs
Well,
here.
it was funny because I had it in the car, and then I went and got it. There were like a couple cops standing around, like, because they were, I guess, doing security or whatever. And I walked up. I'm like, "Am I good with this? Like, this is, like, yeah, you're good." I didn't want them thinking that I'm carrying around a firearm.
Right. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you get to go in the? Did you go in the walk-in closet?
No, they did not have the big like cape closet. That's
Spoiler
what it
alert.
was. Spoiler.
God, I want to talk about this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I don't know. All right, Wes, you got to back me up. Okay, on 3, is this movie worth doing a spoiler cast for? Okay, you shout out your answer, and I'll shout out mine. And Andrew, you shout out yours. So we can make the definitive answer right here, right now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
No.
Yes.
No.
Somebody said a yes, no.
I had a. Mine's a no.
It just wasn't.
Mm.
I mean, in comparison to like Rogue One, it wasn't as action packed. The story wasn't as good.
I will sum up how I felt walking out of that theater. I was way too hard on Rogue One, and I officially apologize to Rogue One.
In comparison.
Sounds like a very one-dimensional movie.
The high
I'm
points
gonna
are
watch tomorrow.
the high points are the nods to all the stuff you expect to
Already
be in a
know
Han
about.
Solo movie. Yeah. Those are the high
I
points
imagined
to
that,
me.
like Disney had a room full.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They had a
So the-
checklist of all these things that are Han
You just
Solo
gotta hold
related.
it. You just gotta hold it. You guys.
No, it's nothing. It's nothing spoiler.
No, I'm very good about not spoiling things.
I was talking about
So
Josh.
No. They had a focus group of Star Wars nerds, and they were like, "What bothers you about Star Wars?" And then they go like, "Well, you know, that one time didn't really make any sense." And so they're like, and they write it on a marker board, and then they go, "Okay, producers, answer these bullet point questions." And they're like, "Well, that's not enough to make a movie." And they're like, "Well, just bore everybody through the rest of it. Don't worry about it." The end.
It wasn't as bad as the prequels.
It's pretty brutal.
Well, let's hear from somebody that tells stories for a living.
There you go.
I thought the biggest challenge was the fact that the guy playing Han Solo is not Harrison Ford. I
No,
mean-
he's Benicio del Toro and Dennis Quaid's love child.
He, you know, but the thing that I did like about it is that the guys who wrote it were Lawrence Kasdan and his son.
Yep.
This wasn't like, you know, fanfic necessarily. This was a couple guys who are like deep in the Star Wars world. Lawrence Kasdan didn't he direct Empire? So this
No,
is like
he
a story.
He wrote Empire.
So this is a story that they wanted to tell, and you know, I think the production was troubled. I would love to have known what it would have been like had like Ron Howard or somebody else been in it from the beginning and one director.
Like the original too. Yeah. The guys that did
Yeah.
a Lego movie.
Yeah,
Chris and Phil Lord.
Yeah.
yeah, and for whatever reason they bounced out of it, and I guess about 70% of the finished product is Ron Howard, and so I don't know. It was a more coherent movie than I thought it might be because of all those production problems. I thought, man, this could be.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what was like before and after as far as like the tone or anything like that, which is good, but
See, I was told it was supposed to be originally. It was like a buddy comedy. It was supposed to be funnier. Like the tone of this movie was supposed to be lighthearted, and fun. And you can tell when Han actually gets to speak, because he doesn't have a lot of speaking parts in this movie. But it's in a more lighthearted, like he has little smirks and stuff to where like, haha, I'm having a good time. But then the rest of the movie has this much darker tone, and it seems real disjoined there, I think.
I feel like there were parts of it that were made to give you that, like, oh, this is Han Solo, you know, like he's funny, you know, like there's the sense of humor that you remember, but the guy just couldn't deliver it. I mean, it just didn't have the same feel. Donald Glover was great though.
So next,
I won't speak about the movie. I want to speak about the movie.
Okay. Changing subjects to something everybody can hate on.
Boy, it's that kind of episode, is it?
Did you guys see the new? Well, it just happens to be what came out.
we'll geek out about stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you happen to see the new Bumblebee trailer?
Yes,
Yeah.
it looks promising.
I don't know how to feel about it because I don't trust these people anymore.
I didn't hate it.
Michael Bay's not directing it, first off, so
I did
it's
not
a
hate
little
it.
bit better start.
I don't
Bumblebee
want
looks,
it, but I didn't hate it.
yeah, Bumblebee looks more closer to the Generation 1, although his face is still bayish, but you can't really retcon that because you'll ruin everything. Starscream looked Generation 1, which I thought was kind of cool. I still wish they'd stop making Transformers movies about humans, and I feel that the whole trailer is a rickroll because of the last couple seconds where they
Truth.
actually played the song.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. Like, I don't know. I thought they canceled the production on the next Transformers movie, didn't they? Then they pulled the plug on it, from what I heard.
I don't know.
How many are they up to now?
There's
7?
5
No,
or 6.
that's 7.
Five.
I thought this was supposed to be 7.
I think
This is
Bumblebee will be
6.
6.
Yeah.
The Transformers, like the last Transformers movie I saw was the second one.
Yeah, and that was
I
enough.
Will watch it when it becomes like Transformers meets Fast and Furious. That will be, just combine the two franchises and be done with it.
Don't joke because Hasbro's already doing that. you got they're trying to combine Transformers, Mask, which I kind of understand. I can see that link.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe.
And then G.I. Joe, which I can still get my mind around. And then ROM.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either. It's like this micro universe or something. And then 2 other franchises? Oh, Visionaries. And I can't remember the other one.
Are those the guys with like the holograms in their chest?
Yeah, like it was the future, but I watched the first episode of the cartoon a while ago, and it was weird. It was this like I Star Trek future where everything was perfect, and then a solar flare hit and fried all the electronics. So then they all went back to medieval England-ish type of feudal whatever, and it was a weird cartoon. And
They did look like knights, and they had like these weird holograms in their chest with different animals or something.
Well, that was the magic.
I don't remember. It was a
Like
long
I said,
time ago.
watch. It's on YouTube. Go watch the first episode. You'll be sitting there the entire time just going like, wait, what? Okay.
There are a lot of 80s cartoons that were like that. I mean, I was thinking about Silverhawks the other day.
Yeah.
That was like I swear when we were kids, like I would watch anything. If it was on TV after school, it was like it didn't matter what it was. It could be horrible. I would sit down and watch it because I'm like, what else are you gonna do?
Harry and the Hendersons. Garbage.
Yeah, I remember
The
loving
movie?
Is there a
Silverhawks.
cartoon show of that?
No, just saying. You just said
There
you're
was-
generally
that was
speaking
a
like
TV series.
anything on TV you would sit down and
Yeah.
watch. That was
Yeah,
one
you
that
sit down
I
and watch.
had to watch way too many times. I would.
I watched that with Deacon like a couple weeks ago. I didn't think it was that bad.
Well, no, because the movie had John Lithgow, but then they made a TV series about it.
That sounds awful.
So the Toys That Made Us has just come out with its second season that talks about
Yeah.
some of the things that we're already talking about.
Gotta watch that.
I haven't seen any of the second season,
Oh.
but man, the first couple episodes just blew me away. I thought that was a great series.
Transformers,
More
Hello
leads.
Kitty,
Lego.
Lego,
Star Trek.
and Star Trek.
Yes.
That Star Trek episode was really interesting. I did not
Yeah.
know.
I was like, I'll watch this to get through it because I could care less about Star Trek, and it was way more interesting than I thought it was with the horrible mismanagement of that brand.
I know a lot goes into the production of that show, but I want episodes faster. I mean, I want.
That was
more
really the second half
profiles.
of the first season, though, because in the
They called
opening
it-
theme they say 8
Yeah.
episodes.
But then they changed it to season 2, which I got kind of
Yeah.
disappointed by because I really enjoy that show. I like the format of it.
This show, if it remains popular enough, I can see them going forever because there are just
Oh, yeah.
so many crazy toy lines.
They'll do the VH1 thing with it. You know,
But it's all based on story, though. I mean, it has to have an interesting story to make it worthy to produce that way. So I think they're probably fairly expensive to produce based on, the graphics and the research and the interviews and everything else. I'm assuming.
Well, they're nailing it. That show was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that's right up my alley. When I saw that, I was like blown away, and it didn't hurt that the first episode that I watched was all about the Star Wars toys from Kenner, which was here in Cincinnati. I was like, oh, I know that building. I know that place.
See, I can see Andrew doing something similar in the American community, doing like a profile of each maker and kind of running it down like that and telling their story.
There's so many. That's the one thing that has blown me away about this community is there's so many people, and like couple months ago, I got a chance to hang out with Jimmy DeResta and Paul Jackman. We did this like boot making thing, and
That's
getting
right.
a chance
That's
to
right, yeah.
getting a chance to sit and like talk to some people that I hadn't a chance to talk to before, like Paul. I hadn't really had a chance to talk to. It's just fascinating to learn people's stories. It's like people come into this kind of community from all over the place.
Paul's a super cool guy.
Yeah.
I thought Jackman was way older than he is.
Is pretty young.
He's
I have no idea how old he is. He's in his 20s, isn't he?
27.
I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Got to meet Mrs. Jackman at Maker Fair. Did you guys meet her? She's really nice too.
Yeah, she was cool.
I got a chance to see her bright orange Carolina boots being made.
That's right. So tell us about the Carolina Boots thing.
So when Jackman had his 100,000 subscriber, when he hit that milestone, he did a giveaway. And I try to enter like the contests and stuff that people do because, I want to show their sponsors that they have support and stuff. I was not expecting to win anything, but he got in touch with me through Facebook. I guess I'd won, like he'd picked my email out of the hat or whatever. And he got in touch with me on Facebook and said, "Is this your email?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You won, dude." And I was like, "Awesome." Actually, I had to go back and look. He said, "You won the grand prize." I had to go back and look and see what it was because I didn't even remember. But it was to go to the Carolina Boot Factory for boot camp and make your own boots. It was like a 2-day excursion. So I drove up to, they're like in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. It's this huge factory that makes Carolina boots and like all these other boots. I mean, there's a couple hundred people that work in this factory that's been around since forever. And it just so happened that Jimmy DeResta he's started a relationship with them and they invited him also. So it was me and Paul and Jimmy, and I think 2 days before that it was Paul and Tim Sway. Tim Sway made his veggie boots. So I got a chance to hang out with, like they had us all there one night at the same time together, but I went through the boot camp with Paul and Jimmy, and it's like by that time Paul basically works there. I think he's made like 3 or 4 pairs of boots, but he made a bright orange pair of boots for his wife that were like everybody in the factory as they were going through, because we're like walking them down the production line from station to station. Everybody's like, what are those? Like, it was very funny.
Do they make a low top pair of boots?
They make, like, I have one that are like normal boot sized, like not like the big, they make some serious boots.
Yeah.
But they don't, I don't know, they may make some work shoes and stuff. I don't think they make them at that factory though.
I
But
have
it's
a pair of
fascinating.
Keens that are steel toed, but they're
Mhm.
just like low top shoes. They're super comfortable. And then I see everybody is like promoting Carolina stuff and being really big. I'm like, it's awesome, but they look really heavy. And I don't know. It's
Some of
way
their
too much
boots,
shoe.
some of their boots are serious. I mean, they're like the big logger boots and stuff that have
Mhm.
like not only the steel toe but like a metal plate on top of it so it doesn't crush the top of your foot when you drop a freaking tree on yourself.
Cool.
And they make all kinds of big like firefighter boots and all kinds of other stuff at that factory. It was fascinating to watch it.
I say good God. But the other day, I thought I broke my toe, and it's still kind of purple because I dropped what's that stupid show? A PJ Mask car on my toe at the weirdest angle, and the toe beside my big toe was all purple. So it's not a log, but it's the geekiest dad way to break a toe. Is a drop Catboy's little blue car on your toe in the wrong way.
What happened? I stepped on a Lego.
Oh.
So you guys have all your kids are pretty young, right?
Mine's
7.
gonna be 3 next month.
Wes?
7 and almost 4.
I've got an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
And almost 9 and almost 7.
My son is 17.
Nice.
Yes, I'm almost at the other side.
That's a very different bracket.
Yes.
Are you going to tell us that there's light at the end of the tunnel?
It's amazing because I mean every step of the way it's been very cool to watch him grow up. But he's like taller than me now, and he's getting ready. He just wrapped up his junior year. He just got his first job, so it's like every step of the way has been fascinating. When they're like 2 years old, you're like, oh, this is like they're so cute. Just keep it this way forever. Like you continue to do that as they get older. And at 17, I'm like, you know what? It's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. He's learning how to drive. He's like, he rolls his eyes at me when I make dad jokes, but then he makes dad jokes too. So I'm like, you have the same sense of humor, dude.
That's good because people keep telling me that all my kids, when they reach a certain age, are going to think I'm stupid and never talk to me again.
Oh, I'm
Imagine
definitely
what?
getting the eye rolls. I'm definitely getting like, ugh, like you don't even know what you're talking about. You're not cool anymore. Like he said that to me the other day. He was like, I'm beginning to realize that you're not that cool.
Oh,
And I'm like, I've always been this cool. Like it's not like it's not like I'm becoming uncool. You're just noticing.
That's when you go, well, check out these sweet dance moves.
Exactly. Yeah. That's when I said, get out. How about that?
wrong were you?
how cool is that?
Cool to pay your own rent.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, but is he of the age now where, like, the toys that made us and stuff like that, like, all the retro stuff is the stuff that you liked when you were a kid? Is that a way to relate in some way?
It's interesting because he's got his own things that he's into, but he is so much more digital. Like he's so much more video game based. Like after I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6, 7 years old, like he didn't want toys anymore. Like there weren't like, I felt like I wanted action figures up until I was like 14 or something. But like when he was in elementary school, he's like, no, I don't like video games and stuff, Dad. I don't want that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see like the nostalgia factor for kids of his generation and younger, because we have tangible stuff that we can go on eBay and be like, ooh, I want that He-Man figure. And the G.I. Joes or whatever. But for them, it's like, I don't know. What is it going to be? Retro gaming is going to be the thing that's.
It already
Be
is to a
a
degree.
bunch of Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
iPhone 1.
Check out this sweet flip phone.
We should get in on that right now. It's going to be big.
Yeah.
It's all gonna go backwards.
Buy up all the razors.
Yep.
The Razor was the best.
It was.
When it came out.
I had 2 of them.
I had one. I was scouring eBay the other day for a helmet for that Centurion's toy that Robert gave me. It's surprisingly difficult to find.
Get a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to model a helmet. That is surprisingly difficult to freehand model an action figure helmet.
I'm surprised that there's not somebody who hasn't like 3D scanned in every little toy gun and helmet and accessory that they can get their hands on and sell the files.
I'll tell you exactly why. And the scanner that can do that is close to $30,000.
Yeah, but you know what? There's guys. If somebody will go on eBay and spend $10 on a to have the right gun that goes with their GI Joe, you could probably make that back at some point.
Yeah, it's just that startup capital, man.
Well, I was surprised that Bob's made it public. There's no secret here. That we're gonna be building an R2D2. So it went on the R2D2, like the official council of R2D2 builders. Like, it's a guild. Those guys hold the stuff extremely close to the chest. But he got these plans because they're free. But the way that they're formatted to be printed out on like 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. So he's like, does anybody have STLs of this or DXF files? You can cut them out on the CNC. And they're like, well, no, we don't. And they're like, well, can I make some and then publish them? They're like, it has to be approved by like the Council of Nye, like before you go and do anything like that. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, it's friggin' 2018, and these are like,
We've never done it this way. They're
Yeah.
basically the old codgers.
We're still printing out pieces of paper to cut stuff. Like, that was really surprising. It's kind of with the same thing you're talking about, Andrew, that like there's no database of really nerdy toys that can just be reproduced. Well, the R2D2 Builders Club, like, they are producing things for people to reproduce, and they're still doing it in this old archaic way.
Yeah. If
I'm
it's
trying
too
to
easy,
take
then
an-
everybody would have one.
Well, it's expensive.
Oh, I bet.
And if you have a stack of 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, you can cut it out. But with that helmet, I'm trying to do like a new spin. Like, I have like those Centurion toys where they just have a suits with a bunch of holes in them. So you can just make whatever you want as long as it fits into that, the hole on the suits. So I want to make like new, updated, cool armor. And I'm like, oh, that shouldn't be that difficult. And yeah, it is. So I want it to be curvy and cool looking, and yeah, it's not easy. I'm not good at it. Daryl from the Broken Nerd makes modeling helmets and things like that look way too easy.
What I wanted to try and do for a helmet was just model anything and then 3D scan my head and then do, I believe it's called the Boolean operation, where you take both models and you place them together and then you say, okay, subtract this from this, and then I think I can do a certain percentage out. So I can do like 1% out, so I have room to get my head in and out. And then I have a perfect custom fit helmet.
Speaking of, do you have that scan that you took of me at Maker Faire? Because I want to do that exact thing.
Yes.
I'm gonna print out my head.
I gotta look at it. I'll go through that tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Because I wanted to make my own Centurion's helmet out of foam, because I think it'd be a whole lot easier than trying to model it and then print it out in big sections. So I'm gonna print my head in big sections. And it'll
Sculpt
be
around it.
tacky.
Have you worked with foam at all, Josh?
Nope.
It's fascinating. I did something. I made these giant foam hands, and because when I was at the Carolina boot thing, Jimmy had his little toy hands that he was playing with.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm driving back, and I'm like, I've been wanting to do something out of foam. I'll make giant foam hands. So I made them like 200% bigger than my hands. And it's interesting to work with foam because you can really, like, finishing it is the one thing that I don't think I did well. I had like gaps and tears and stuff in it, and I really should have done a better job of that. But it's amazing what you can make out of it, and like heating it up and getting texture to it and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I watched Bob when he made the Optimus gun. He started that whole thing out of foam first. And then there's been a couple other things that he's made, like on the Twitch stream, out of foam. And I think the one hang-up I have with it is it's not precise. Like, it's made up of sections.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without doing, like, a whole bunch of post-processing, like, you can tell that it's made up of sections. Unless you're just really, really, really good at it. And so I think that's the part of me I was like, oh, I'll just 3D print it so I can make it a sphere. And it'll print out a sphere. Rather than, like, a segmented, weird, triangular kind of amalgam dome thing. And so I want to do it because I think it'll be easier than printing. But the perfectionist part of me that wants to have this like cartoon accurate little helmet.
It takes a lot of practice to get the craftsmanship right working with that foam.
Absolutely.
There's a girl on Instagram I follow called Kamui Cosplay. She does some crazy stuff with foam. Like, she just did the main character from Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2. And that was the TIE Fighter pilot. And she did a TIE Fighter helmet completely out of foam. And I didn't know that was foam until she's like, oh, here's this. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's like, oh, wait, no, that whole thing's foam? Holy crap. So there was like the
You can hide
shiny
a lot more on
aspects.
camera, though.
So it was still impressive, though, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got the Punish Props like foam smithing book.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob's done enough of it. I mean, he's pretty good at it. But I've never done it. I've always wanted to, and I thought this would be the Centurion's helmet, a life-size Centurion's helmet, would be a good start.
Yeah, I've only made the one project with it, but as you work with it, it's like anything else. You can glue it, you can stick it together, you can sand it and shape it, and it's just a matter of, getting the finish on it that you want. Mine didn't finish up very well, and that's because I didn't go back and like fill it. Like, you can fill in like any rough spots with like latex caulk and really smooth it out. And I didn't do any of that. So there's spots on mine that I'm like, that kind of looks like crap. But
Weathering.
yeah, exactly. Weathering. We'll just call it that. Scars.
That's in the list of cool things that Bob knows how to do that I've always wanted to do. Just like it's right over there on a shelf, and I'm like, hey, let's do a project with that.
Yeah, but see, that's the great thing. That's the great thing about a guy like Bob and, well, like so many other people that I watch. It's like the only reason he's good at it is because he did a project or two out of it. It's not like he's been doing it for years. I mean, there are experts out there, but you do a couple projects and screw around with something, and you're going to come out with a much better thing than you did the first time around.
Yeah.
Well, coming up on about time, so we already talked about what we're geeking out about. Anything else you guys want to kind of finish up with for today?
Who you been watching? We haven't done a who you've been watching lately.
Actually, I'll go first on this one because I've been holding something back. Although I think you guys talked about it once already. I finally watched Lost in Space on Netflix.
Oh, yeah?
That was an amazing show. I was so impressed by everything in that show. And I highly recommend it to anybody I recommend it to everybody. So check it out. I think it was a really, really well done show.
It really picked up in the last couple episodes.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a lull,
Yeah.
but it got a little bit better.
I thought the
I've
first
been
up.
watching. Well, my bad.
Go ahead. No, that's okay. I don't need to expound upon that.
I've been watching the Bon Appetit YouTube channel, like their cooking show, or the cooking magazine. They have like a test kitchen, and it's like this girl makes gourmet versions of junk food. Like she made a gourmet Twinkie, where she tries to recreate these processed like box foods with actual food. And
Is that the one where she just did the tried to make gourmet Skittles?
yeah, she
That
made
just
Skittles and, like,
came across my feed.
yeah, Skittles and a Kit Kat bar. I don't remember what else, but she's done cool stuff. But that whole, like, it's a team of people that work in the test kitchen, and each one of them kind of has little specialties, and they work together. And they've got a guy that like works 24 hours at a Waffle House, or at like these barbecue places. They've got a huge library of content. But I don't know, I always wanted to be a chef, like since I was a little kid. And I've just gotten so busy with everything else in life where I kind of forgot about it. And now my wife cooks all the food because I'm at work all the time. And so now I get to go back and it's like the Food Network for people who don't have cable anymore. So it's the Bon Appetit YouTube channel. It's awesome. They've got a lot of cool stuff on there.
I've recently started watching a channel that initially I kind of don't watch, kind of vloggy Casey Neistat style looking stuff. It just doesn't do anything for me. But there's one called Yes Theory, which is a very popular one apparently, but I never gave it a chance. And I started watching a couple of their videos, and they're very well produced. They have a nice quality to them, and basically they send around 4 guys. They're like roommates, and their motto is to seek discomfort in life, basically to like challenge like your fears and kind of exploit, or not really exploit, but kind of investigate the things that people are hesitant to do. Like a lot of them are like social interaction kind of things, like come up to strangers and they'll have like a challenge of them. Like they'll challenge one of their members to go out and convince 2 people to go skydiving, like instantly on the spot. So they'll go out and have these kind of interesting little challenges, and each one's like a little video. Some of them are longer than others, but yeah, one was convince 2 people to go skydiving. One was convince an Uber driver and a person they're picking up to go skydiving, like on the spot, like let's go right now, kind of thing. And it's kind of neat to see people's reactions, the way they edit it together. They're not all skydiving related, but now that I think about it, a lot of them are kind of like epic experience kind of things that normally you wouldn't ask somebody to do offhand. They had one where they had to convince somebody, like a random stranger, to let them have a party at their house, but like a classy party. And there are interesting like scenarios that they kind of propose that are kind of interesting. But it's something kind of fun to watch and easy to get through a couple of episodes. And it's not makery stuff, which is, you know, a lot of the stuff I watch, but it's like a palate cleanser, I guess. And they're usually pretty positive, and they're not usually just doing things just for the heck of them. They usually have a good message and stuff, which is unusual to find on a lot of channels. You know, they just do wacky stuff for the sake of it, which is fine. But this has got some. It's got like the moral of the story, kind of like the G.I. Joe style at the end. You know.
Knowing is half the battle.
Indeed.
The other half is red lasers and blue lasers.
Absolutely.
I actually sat down. The only thing I've watched recently was me and my wife sat down and watched the Marvelous Miss Maisel from Amazon.
I haven't heard of it.
Nope.
It was back in the 1950s, probably earlier. You know, traditional husband wife. The husband splits, and she does to, you know, get her life back. So it was interesting. I liked it. It was actually a fun series. It's only 8 episodes, so you can blow through it real quick.
The YouTuber that I have started watching a lot lately, it took me way longer than it probably should have for me to find him, is ZH Fabrications.
Oh, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met him in Cleveland when a bunch of people were up in Cleveland. I don't know, a couple months ago. I went up and met up with them and met Zach, and I hadn't been following his channel, but he's got this whole series of videos on there where he's restoring his pickup, and it's like you know, he does great metal work and all kinds of other stuff, but watching him restore his pickup is really fascinating because he does like a lot of body work and stuff, and it's a little bit different than what a lot of makers have on their channel, and it's just a like part of his stuff, but it's really cool. it like kind of inspired me. I'm like, ah, man, I need to get a pickup just so I have something to haul stuff around in. Maybe I should get something that's old and beat up and worked on it.
That reminds me, I'm going to throw in another one really quick. Everybody should go on Instagram and check out my friend Lance. He owns a company called the Outlander Defender Co. or company, where he imports and restores like Land Rovers, Land Rover Defenders. And they are awesome, and they're amazing, and I want one. And I think if everyone were to go over there and tell him to give me one, that it might help. He's in Colorado, and they're thinking about moving to Kentucky. So maybe I can just kind of grab one from him really quick.
You won't know.
Yeah.
You won't even notice.
But they're like British, like over-the-road Jeeps with right-hand drive. They're super awesome. But yeah, he's got a cool business. Outlander Defender Co. You can check it out.
Nice.
Cool.
Good.
You were talking about cooking shows. Have you guys watched on Netflix Nailed It?
No, but that just sounds awesome.
It's it's hilarious. It's like a cooking competition. It's a baking competition show for people who are mediocre but enthusiastic bakers. So it's basically like when you see like cake wrecks or whatever, like really like horrible interpretations of fancy cakes that people have made. It's an entire show that's like that, and it's done with a really awesome sense of humor. I think there's maybe 6 or 8 episodes, and it's really funny.
Like
It's
televised
a good twist on
Pinterest
that.
fails.
Yeah, it's a good twist on that, and it's done with whoever books that show for like getting the people who compete on it does a really good job, because they get people that are like upbeat and like happy, but they're you can tell they're not like trying to make it look horrible. They just have them on like a really tight timetable, and these people really have no idea what they're doing. It's hilarious.
Bon Appetit does something like that, where they do back-to-back, where they have a professional chef, like a celebrity chef. They did one with Bobby Flay, one with Gordon Ramsay, and someone else, to where they'll have somebody who is like they admittedly terrible cook. They stand immediately behind them at another station, and the fancy chef has to just explain what to do. So they can't see each other, and so they have 15 minutes to cook this dish, and so they're trying to like rush and try to hurry up. So he's like, all right, you see this thing? You got to grab that, and you got to cut this like this, and throw this in this pan, and then you see the terrible cook just like slapping a knife down on the board, and then they're all right, 1, 2, 3. They turn around and like reveal like the chef's fancy plate, and then the other person's really like crappy microwave looking gourmet food. That's pretty funny.
All right, we'd love to hear from all of you. Please check out the website, makinggeeks.com. Check out the contact page. You could leave us questions, suggestions for the show, anything you like. And on the homepage of the site, you can listen to all of our past episodes and take a look at all of the past guests we've had, including Mr. Andrew Setters from tonight's show. So right there on makinggeeks.com.
And you can find us across all the social medias on Instagram at Making Geeks Podcast, on Facebook and Twitter at Making Geeks.
We would like to thank our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/makinggeeks for making this show possible. It's through their financial contributions to help keep the lights on and keep the stickers flowing like sweet, sweet wine. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense. But you know what I'm saying. We want to give a shout out to our top patron, Mr. Seth Williams. Thanks, buddy, for all your support, and all of our patrons. Head over to patreon.com/makinggeeks to help out.
They are keeping the lights on, right, Wes?
They are, as you can see.
You got to make sure you turn the switch on.
Yes. Yes.
Can't let the website flaps.
What? What are you talking about? I'll be right back.
But if you want to find out anything more about us individually, you can find us all over social media. You can find Sean's work at Geek Builders or geekbuilders.net. You can find Wes at geeksmithing.com. Find Mark at asylum-3d.com. You can find my work at the PI Workshop, or at I Like to Make Stuff. It's on there too. And Andrew, where can everybody find you? Hello?
Are you there still?
Yes.
We're here. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Hello?
There you go. Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'm here.
There
There you
he
go.
is.
Where can everyone...
I'm here.
Where can everybody find your work?
YouTube.com/Andrew Setters, or just Google me. I'm around. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff.
So if they're in the greater Cincinnati area, where can they find your fancy face?
Oh, I work for WLWT.
You said that so eloquently. I feel like you should charge them for saying that.
It's almost like I'm a professional.
Did you have to come up with a sign off like line or catchphrase that's unique, or is that like a thing that's like not really a thing?
No, it's everybody.
Back to you, Janet. Wink.
Stay classy,
Finger
San
guns.
Diego.
I guess it's more of like a weatherman thing. Never mind.
Go back to your home on. Wait.
Thanks, man, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. It's good to talk
It's
to you.
good to see you
Thanks
again,
for having
man.
me.
Lots of fun.
Good to see you too.
Oh, wait, I got to finish the thing. I got sidetracked, sorry. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us this Saturday. Stick around every week and subscribe on your podcast player of choice. You can get a new episode delivered straight to you.
And check us out on YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel. We live stream these
Yep. We've got
every
people in the live chat
Thursday
right
at 9 p.m. Eastern.
now. They've been adding to the conversation. They get to watch this live. So if we have visual aids, you get to see them. So stay tuned for that. Come hang out with us every Thursday or continue to listen to us every Saturday. And we'd like to thank you, as we do every week, and we hope you have a fantastic week.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Take care, folks.
Later.
See you.
Goodbye, live stream.